Today I want to talk about something that has to do with the latest chapter of My Hero Academia, chapter 181, that I didn't really go too in depth on or even talked about at all in my review, which is Gentle's punishment. Because as we know, in the chapter he made some remarks and Deku made his remark as well surrounding the situation of what's been going down with Gentle, Labrava and Deku, because Gentle himself, he tried to really make sure that Labrava was gonna get out of a punishment by saying that he had manipulated her in the form of brainwashing. He said that he had brainwashed Labrava for the longest time and that was his biggest crime above all the other crimes. Now, as we know, if we look back on what Deku then said, he said that what they were doing was pulling a prank on UA. Of course, this particular thing, you know, the whole move on UA, I don't really think that is going to be such a big deal for UA, seeing how Deku, who is at the UA Academy, gave his statement on it. He did say that they were just trying to pull a prank. Now, we as viewers or readers, we know that this is not true. However, UA, they are probably gonna take Deku's word for it, and the police is gonna listen in on what Gentle has to say at the station. Now, that is something we're either gonna have to experience in some upcoming chapter, or it's gonna happen off screen. It's really hard to tell. It really does depend if Gentle and Labrava are gonna be recurring characters in the story, which personally I really hope they are going to be in some shape or form. However, I think it's more likely we're gonna see more Labrava than Gentle, because I do think Gentle is gonna get some kind of punishment, whereas Labrava really isn't. At least that's what I hope. But of course, when it comes to like legal stuff and things like that, I'm not really an expert. I mean, obviously I'm not, especially not on Japanese law, assuming that My Hero Academia is based on Japanese law. I mean, the story is taking place in Japan, so if anything, it would make sense for there to be Japanese law implemented, but at the same time, it's set in the future, so things could be different from how we know them. Now, I don't really know too well when it comes to Japanese law, but in the past, Gentle has been doing some, well, quite frankly, criminal stuff. Like, he was robbing a store. Although he didn't take the money, he was doing the act of a robbery, which I think is still something you can't do. I think the act of robbery is still very much illegal, and that alone could get him in some shit, and we don't really know exactly what he's been doing for the past 6 years when he's been active with Labrava. And then there's the fact that he has been doing stuff even before he met Labrava, although he wasn't really as good at it, at least not the whole filming part and editing and stuff like that. But his career did start before these 6 years. But if we only limited these 6 years when Labrava was actually part of the gang, then, well, that's gonna be 6 years of criminal activity, although it's not really for the sake of being bad guys, it's more to do with exposing people. Like in the case of the J store, he was trying to expose them for hiding the early expiry dates, like, because this store was trying to do some things that they weren't supposed to. They were trying to sell things that were about to reach its expiry date, and obviously that's gonna be a bad thing for people to buy that stuff, especially if they're gonna keep it for a while, you know, because that shit's gonna expire and it's gonna go bad and, you know, stuff like that. So obviously what Gentle was trying to do in that particular case, he meant well, but his method certainly wasn't legal. So the question then is, what he's been doing, you know, both past and this whole thing with UA and so on and so forth, is it enough to put him into Tartaros or any big prison or not? Because, I mean, I don't really know how big of a sentence he would get, like how long would he be put in prison if he is put in prison, because that's really hard to just straight up guess, because, you know, obviously in that case you're gonna have to know the exact laws that apply in My Hero Academia, and we really don't, because at the end of the day, he was more of a criminal rather than a full-fledged villain. Like, he didn't really endanger people's lives in the way that a normal villain probably would. To him, it was more to do with, yes, you know, petty crime and stuff like that. And I think that's mostly what you're gonna have to take into account when it comes to his sentence. If he gets a sentence, I think he will get some kind of a sentence, you know. I think it's gonna be put away maybe for a year or two, you know, 3 years. I'm obviously only being able to really predict this based on what I would probably see around where I live or what I've seen on the internet and stuff like that, you know, because I was trying to look up the whole thing with Japan and psychological abuse or brainwashing and stuff like that. I didn't really find much because, well, as it turns turns out, you know, as it is in Asia, females aren't as protected as they maybe are in the West, based on what I saw. I mean, at the same time, I don't really know what sources are credible, but I'm assuming that the males, at least in some shape or form, have a superior role to play in their culture. Maybe I'm wrong. Please do correct me if I am wrong, but so I think the whole brainwashing thing, I think it's gonna play a part, because I think seeing as this is, you know, My Hero Academia, it's not real Japan, they're gonna apply some differences, probably have some stricter laws, hopefully at least, and maybe that way this whole thing with La Brava, based on what Gentle at least said, even though we know it's not true, it's gonna play a part in his evaluation, if you know what I mean. Now what I do hope, and this is a bit contrarian maybe of me, because I kind of want him to go to Tartaros, simply because of the speculations that I've been seeing some other people have surrounding La Brava joining the league based on desperation and stuff like that. Not really gonna go into that. It's not really something that I came up with, but I've seen some stuff. I discussed it with my friend Kidutaku, but neither of us really came up with the idea. It was more to do with me bringing it up based on what someone else said. And yeah, I would really like to see that, but at the same time, based on what I think surrounding the whole legal stuff and what Gentle has been doing throughout the years and the whole thing with La Brava, I don't really see him going to Tartaros and being put in a cell, you know, surrounding the actual villains. I just really don't see that being a thing. I think, if anything, he's probably gonna be put into a less secure facility, simply because of the fact that he is more of a criminal, not an actual villain, and it feels like Tartaros is more for the baddest and biggest villains. So to have Gentle in Tartaros would be kind of out of place in a way. But then again, he might be completely pardoned, but he might be monitored and stuff like that. You know, sometimes you get different types of punishments. It might not even be, you know, in the form of prison. He might actually be monitored by the police or by some hero, you never know, and to make sure that he's not really doing any of this stuff, which means that the whole thing with the videos is obviously gonna be over. Like, his filming career is gonna be pretty much done at that point, which is a shame really, but I feel like no matter how you slice it, that's gonna be the case unless they somehow manage to escape the police or the pro heroes escorting him to the police station, which I really doubt will happen, because at the end of the day, they're like pro heroes. I doubt Gentle and La Brava in their current state, they're like beat up as hell, can really get away from them. So I definitely believe there are gonna be some kind of consequences surrounding at least Gentle, maybe not La Brava, because as I've now said a few times, Gentle mentioned that he had brainwashed La Brava, and hopefully, well, hopefully for her, not necessarily for him, they will believe him. In which case La Brava will either be given no sentence at all, or the sentence is gonna be massively milder than what Gentle is facing. At least that's my guess on this whole thing surrounding Gentle and La Brava. But obviously this video mostly focuses on Gentle and his punishment, whatever this punishment may actually be. I mean, it doesn't really have to be, as I said, it could be something else other than an actual prison sentence. It could be community service, you know, fucking anything. I don't really know how the world in My Hero Academia works. I mean, whatever it is, I don't really think we're gonna see much of it on screen, honestly. I think a lot of it's gonna be off screen, because we don't really know if they're gonna be recurring characters at all. I hope they are, but we don't really know, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. Anyway, with that said, I'm gonna end this video here. So I would love to know what you guys think about this whole thing with Gentle and his punishment for what he's done over the 6 years to La Brava, according to him, of course, and what we've actually seen him do, like the whole robbery stuff and, you know, the crimes that are actually factual. And as always, if you did, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to see more My Hero Academia content coming your way. This has been Chaotic Plus, and remember everyone, Toga is waifu, Toga is laifu.